The Phantom Vessel. Captain Vance Orloff stood at the viewport of the TSS Hyperion, watching distant stars slide by as the massive warship traveled through the void. 20 years in the Terran Space Force had hardened him, his weathered face and calculating gray eyes testament to battles fought across a dozen systems. Yet nothing in those years had prepared him for the mission that lay ahead. "Status report, Lieutenant Zhou," he said, turning to face his tactical officer. Lieutenant Jia Zhou looked up from her console, her expression grim. 7 vessels lost in the past month, sir. No distress calls, no debris fields. They simply vanished. Orloff nodded slowly. The Hyperion, pride of the Terran fleet with its quantum phase shields and antimatter cannons, had been dispatched to investigate these disappearances at the edge of human space. This region bordered Zalthian territory, but the reptilian species had maintained their treaty for decades. This didn't feel like their style. "System scan complete, Captain," announced Chief Science Officer Dakarai Nkosi, his deep voice carrying across the bridge. "No anomalies detected." But he hesitated. "Speak freely, Nkosi," Orloff said. "The quantum fluctuation readings are unusual. Almost as if space itself is rippling in certain areas." Commander Farah Nazari, Orloff's second-in-command, joined them at the science station. Her cybernetic eye whirred softly as she studied the readouts. "I've never seen patterns like these. It's as if something's phasing in and out of our reality." Orloff's communicator chimed. "Captain, this is engineering. You asked to be notified about any irregularities. We're detecting power fluctuations throughout the ship. Minor, but they shouldn't be happening." "Acknowledged," Orloff replied, a sense of unease growing within him. He turned to Nazari. "Full combat readiness. I want all systems at maximum efficiency." 4 hours later, as the Hyperion patrolled the sector where the most recent ship had disappeared, the alarms blared. "Contact!" Zhou shouted. "Unknown vessel, bearing 047, distance 30,000 kilometers." On screen, Orloff ordered, rising from his command chair. The view screen displayed nothing. Then, like a mirage solidifying, something began to appear. It wasn't like any ship Orloff had ever seen. Rather than a solid structure, it seemed composed of countless small fragments, constantly shifting and realigning, sometimes transparent, sometimes solid. The overall shape suggested something vaguely triangular, but dimensions impossible to determine as parts of it seemed to exist in different planes simultaneously. "What in the hell is that?" whispered Nazari. "Scans are inconclusive," reported Nkosi, his fingers dancing across his console. "The mass readings keep changing. Sometimes it registers as massive as a small moon, other times barely larger than a shuttle. Energy readings are impossible." "Impossible how?" demanded Orloff. "It's simultaneously putting out energy readings higher than our sun and near-zero output. The computer can't process it." "Weapon status," Orloff said, turning to Zhou. "Targeting systems can't get a lock, sir. It's as if the target keeps shifting position faster than our computers can track." "Communications, attempt contact on all frequencies." Lieutenant Reiji Takahashi at Communications nodded. "Broadcasting now, sir." No response. "Wait, our systems are being scanned. It's unlike any information probe I've encountered." Suddenly, every console on the bridge flickered, displays momentarily showing strange, shifting symbols before returning to normal. "It's in our system," Takahashi said, fingers flying across his console. "Firewalls holding, but it's not attacking. It's observing." "Shields to maximum," Orloff ordered. "Prepare to." "Captain." Zhou interrupted. "The vessel is changing." On the view screen, the mysterious ship's components were rearranging, forming what appeared to be an exact replica of the Hyperion, though still composed of its strange, shifting particles. "It's mimicking us," Nazari whispered. Before Orloff could respond, the phantom ship's formation changed again, breaking apart into a cloud of particles that began expanding rapidly. "It's surrounding us," Nkosi reported, voice tense. "The particles are everywhere, creating a sphere around our position." "Evasive maneuvers," Orloff commanded. "Get us out of here." "Engines not responding," called the helmsman, Lieutenant Omar Rashid. "Systems are going offline one by one." The lights on the bridge dimmed momentarily. When they returned to full brightness, the crew gasped. Hovering in the center of the bridge was a swirling collection of the same particles they'd observed outside, forming a roughly humanoid shape. Weapons! Orlov shouted. Security personnel raised their pulse rifles, but before they could fire, the weapons simply deactivated in their hands. The particle formation shifted, pulsed, and then to everyone's shock, spoke, not audibly, but directly into their minds. You seek combat. We seek understanding. These concepts are not mutually exclusive. Who are you? Orlov demanded, stepping forward. What do you want? We are Nexus. You are human. Your vessels entered our space. 7 times. We studied them. We learned. You destroyed our ships, Nazari accused. No destruction. Deconstruction. Study. Reconstruction elsewhere. Your people live. They learn as we learn. Orlov exchanged glances with his officers. Our crews are alive. Alive. Different place. Different understanding. What does that mean? Orlov pressed. Where are they? The particle entity pulsed again. Your understanding of space is limited. 3 dimensions. Linear time. We exist in 11. Your people learn to see differently now. Nkosi stepped forward, eyes wide with realization. You're not attacking us. You're studying us. Teaching us. Yes. Evolution requires adaptation. Your species approaches threshold. Ready to see beyond. Threshold of what? Asked Orlov. Existence beyond current limitations. You built ships for war. Prepared for conflict. But universe offers more. Different interactions. Different possibilities. The entity's form shifted, expanding to fill more of the bridge, particles moving faster. Your vessel now joins study. Temporary separation from known space. Return will come with new understanding. The lights flickered again, and Orlov felt a strange sensation, as if his very atoms were being gently pulled apart then reassembled. The view screen showed the stars outside blurring, stretching into lines of light, then into something else entirely, patterns of energy and information that human eyes were never designed to process. What's happening? Zhou called out, her voice seeming to echo strangely. Transition begins. Fear is natural. Learning requires discomfort. As the Hyperion and its crew began to shift into something beyond conventional reality, Orlov realized that everything they had trained for, every combat scenario, every diplomatic protocol, every scientific procedure, had become irrelevant. They were entering a domain where the fundamental rules of existence were different. His last thought before the transition completed was both terrifying and exhilarating. Everything humanity thought it knew about the universe was about to change. Beyond understanding. The universe reassembled itself around Captain Orlov, but not in any way that made sense to his human perception. The bridge of the Hyperion still existed, yet simultaneously seemed to occupy multiple locations at once. Through the viewports, he could see not stars, but intricate patterns of energy and information, the raw data of reality itself. Status report, he managed, his voice sounding strange even to his own ears, as if the words existed in several moments at once. His crew appeared dazed, attempting to process their new surroundings. Lieutenant Zhou was the first to recover, though her hands trembled as she worked her console. Systems are functional, Captain, but readings make no sense. According to our sensors, we're in multiple locations simultaneously. Commander Nazari's cybernetic eye was rapidly recalibrating, the mechanical iris expanding and contracting as it struggled to interpret what it was seeing. Captain, I believe we've been shifted into a higher dimensional space. The laws of physics as we understand them don't fully apply here. The particle entity, Nexus, reformed in the center of the bridge, its humanoid shape now incorporating complex geometric patterns that seem to fold into themselves endlessly. Your vessel remains intact. Your biological functions continue. First stage of comprehension begins. Where are our missing ships? Our people. Orlov demanded, fighting to maintain his composure in the face of reality itself seeming to unravel around him. Here. Different perspective. See. The view screen shifted, showing what appeared to be the 7 missing Terran vessels. They appeared intact but transformed, Parts of their hulls now incorporated the same shifting particle technology as the Nexus vessel. More disturbing was the sight of the crews, who moved with strange, fluid motions as if they had partially transcended physical limitations. "What have you done to them?" Orlov whispered. "Elevated perception. They see more now. Understand more." Some chose integration. Lieutenant Takahashi at communications suddenly straightened, his eyes widening. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the TSS Valiant. That's Admiral Kostova's ship. It disappeared 3 weeks ago." "Put it through." The face that appeared on screen was recognizable as Admiral Lydia Kostova, but changed. Her eyes contained geometric patterns that shifted and moved, and her movements had the same fluid quality they had observed in the other crews. "Captain Orlov," she said, her voice resonating oddly. "Don't be afraid. What's happening is not an attack or an invasion. It's an invitation." "Admiral," Orlov responded, struggling to maintain protocol in this impossible situation. "Report your status and condition." "Status." Kostova smiled, the expression somehow existing in multiple variations simultaneously. "We've been upgraded, Captain. The Nexus beings exist across multiple dimensions of reality. They've shown us how to perceive beyond our limited three-dimensional understanding." "You've been compromised," Nazari cut in. "Possibly brainwashed or—" "No, Commander," Kostova interrupted. "My mind is clearer than it's ever been. We thought we were sent to investigate a threat, but we've discovered the next step in human evolution instead." Chief Science Officer Nkosi stepped forward. "Admiral, have you been physically altered?" "Our physical forms remain, but our consciousness has been expanded. We now perceive 11 dimensions instead of the standard 4 of spacetime. It's indescribable, Doctor. Like being blind all your life and suddenly gaining sight." As they spoke, Lieutenant Nadia Reeves, the ship's quantum physicist, had been working feverishly at her station. Her background in theoretical physics was proving unexpectedly crucial. "Captain," she called out, excitement overriding protocol. "I believe I understand what's happening. The Nexus beings aren't just traveling through space, they're traveling through dimensional planes. What we perceived as a ship is actually a localized fold in spacetime, allowing them to exist simultaneously in multiple dimensional states." The particle entity pulsed in what seemed like approval. "Your understanding grows. Linear perception falling away." Reeves continued, her words coming faster as concepts solidified. "Their technology doesn't operate on principles of force or energy as we understand them. It manipulates the fabric of reality itself. Our weapons and defenses are meaningless because they're designed to work in three-dimensional space against three-dimensional threats." "So how do we defend against them?" Joe asked. "We don't," Reeves replied simply. "We can't. It would be like a two-dimensional drawing trying to fight a three-dimensional being. The disparity in perception is too great." Orlov felt a cold realization wash over him. The Terran Space Force, with all its advanced technology and battle-hardened soldiers, was utterly unprepared for this encounter. Not because their weapons were insufficient, but because the entire concept of weaponry had become obsolete. "If we can't fight them," he said slowly, "then what options do we have? Understanding. Adaptation. Evolution. Choice." Admiral Kostova nodded from the screen. "That's what we've learned, Captain. The Nexus aren't conquerors. They're teachers. They've existed for millions of years, watching species reach the technological threshold where dimensional expansion becomes possible. Some species reject the opportunity, clinging to their limited perception. Others embrace it and join a galactic community that exists beyond conventional spacetime." "And humanity?" Orlov asked. "What choice did you make for our species, Admiral?" "I didn't make that choice," Kostova replied. "None of us did. We've simply been prepared. The choice belongs to humanity as a whole." The particle entity expanded, filling more of the bridge with its shifting form. Demonstration complete. Understanding initiated. Return now to linear space. Share knowledge. Choose path. "Wait," Orlov said quickly. "You're sending us back?" "Yes. Messengers. Heralds. The future of your species cannot be decided by few. All must choose. Commander Nazari stepped forward. And if humanity chooses not to accept this, evolution. Respect for choice. No coercion. Other species have refused. Continue linear existence. Limited, but respected. Reeves looked up from her console, her expression troubled. Captain, I've been analyzing the dimensional fluctuations. I believe the Nexus beings are preparing to return us to normal spacetime. Admiral, Orlov said urgently, addressing Kostova. Are you coming back with us? The Admiral's strange eyes seemed to look through him rather than at him. Some of us will return as ambassadors. Others have chosen to remain, to learn more. I'll be staying, Captain. There's too much knowledge here to abandon. Before Orlov could respond, the bridge began to shimmer, reality once again seeming to fold and unfold around them. The view screen showed the stars returning to their familiar patterns, the bizarre dimensional landscapes fading. Remember. Share. Choose. With those final words echoing in their minds, the Nexus entity disappeared, and the Hyperion snapped back into normal space with a jarring return to conventional physics. Location. Orlov demanded, struggling to readjust to regular spacetime perception. We're exactly where we were, Captain, Joe reported, sounding bewildered. But according to our chronometers, no time has passed. That's impossible, Nazari said. We spent hours in that place. Time functions differently across dimensional planes, Reeves explained, already compiling her data. What felt like hours to us occurred in a fraction of a second in conventional spacetime. Orlov stood silent for a moment, processing the implications. They had been sent to investigate a threat, to prepare for war against an unknown enemy. Instead, they discovered something far beyond conflict, a fundamental shift in humanity's understanding of existence itself. Communications, he said finally. Contact High Command. Priority Alpha. What do we tell them, sir? Asked Takahashi. Orlov looked around at his crew, forever changed by what they had experienced. The Hyperion had been built for war, its crew trained for combat against any threat the universe might present. But they had encountered something for which no training could prepare them, a paradigm shift that rendered the entire concept of warfare obsolete. Tell them, he said slowly, that we were wrong about everything. The universe isn't a battlefield. It's a classroom. And we've just been invited to attend. As the Hyperion began its journey home, carrying knowledge that would forever alter humanity's path among the stars, Captain Orlov wondered what choice his species would make when faced with the opportunity to transcend their limited perception of reality. Would they cling to their familiar three-dimensional existence, with its conflicts and boundaries? Or would they embrace a new understanding that made such limitations, and the wars fought within them, seem as primitive as stone tools? Whatever humanity decided, one thing was certain: they had been trained for war, but nothing could have prepared them for that ship, and the dimensional beings who had shown them that reality itself was far vaster and more wondrous than they had ever imagined.